Hello and welcome back to Trace Talk, your go-to segment on Traceability TV that dives deep into the world of traceability and the leaders that are making it all happen. As always, I'm your host, Marianne Munyoki, and today I have a very special guest with me. He's a visionary leader and the mind behind GS1 Kenya. Today, we are tracing the path of the CEO of GS1 Kenya, Mr. Peter Otieno. He'll be sharing some incredible insights on traceability and the exciting future of GS1 Kenya. So sit back, enjoy, and prepare for an engaging conversation that connects all the dots of traceability. Thank you so much for joining us today. And can you please state your name and what you do and how you do it for the people at home?
Thank you very much, Miriam. My name is Peter Otieno. I'm the CEO for GS1 Kenya. And we are here to help our members track and trace their products. Thank you so much.
So I'll dive straight into it. And first of all, can you tell us about your journey to becoming the CEO of GS1 Kenya?
It's been long. It's been long, and actually it was not planned for me to be the CEO, but it all began by us where I used to be employed in the corporate world. We faced some challenges in how to track our products and also get our products into the supermarket. So a group of us, quite a number of them have left. We began on the journey on how to barcode Kenya. This is way back in 1998. So come 1999, this team formed an organization known as European Article Numbering, properly known as EAN. And the barcodes were introduced in Kenya as 616. But come 2005, the EAN was not able to, there were few challenges and some difficulties. And of course, the governance then did not make it possible for EAN to succeed. Then four other people, including me, three other gentlemen, myself, we formed GS1 as a business name. Then a year later, in 2006, 2007, we actually formed GS1 to take over from EAN, which had collapsed due to some legal issues. And GS1 since then actually grew in small bits and bounds until where we are now. But I must say it has been a very difficult journey because 2016, the company GS1 was also not doing very well because we didn't have proper governance. And we decided to invite some professionals or consultants, Orion Consulting Firm, who helped us actually to see where we were going. And from then, 2 years later, the board then actually prevailed upon me to leave what I was doing privately to come and join to lead this organization based that I was there in the beginning of this company. So since 2018, I've been the CEO, and we've seen quite a lot transforming from a company dying to a company which is now flourishing and serving a lot of our members.
Wow, okay, so thank you. And just a follow-up question on what you just said. So you said that they called you and you came. So what motivated you to leave all that behind and come and take over GS1?
Because my aspiration or my vision by the time we were beginning this journey of barcoding Kenya, I was doing my own business. I was running a small cosmetic outlet, and it was quite difficult for us to sell our products into the market. Most multinationals were able to actually put the products in the supermarket, but the SMEs were finding it very difficult because to get one barcode, they were paying 150,000. So imagine you have 10 products, that's 1.5 million down the drain. And this motivated me actually to join this organization. But by seeing that majority of the people who are on the board did not see the vision of actually how to make it more affordable to small-scale business people, I took the lead to actually try to show. And I realized if I don't go in there and being the founder directors, then definitely whoever we're employing to take up the role as a general manager or as a CEO, most of them did not see what we wanted to do. And for that reason, I felt, since this was one of my childhood, well, not really childhood, but my early life as a businessman, that it needed to grow, I thought by running it, I would definitely help more businesses than what I was doing by then.
Okay. Yeah. So let's dive into company management, because you said that you faced some challenges, right? So what key principles have guided your approach to company management at GS1 Kenya?
This is a good question, and I've tried to bring it up in one of the books I've written. Yeah. No organization will perform or will succeed if it doesn't have a roadmap. And one of the key things for a roadmap is to have a well-functioning governance. If it's a family business, of course, then the family, the head of the family, become the kind of a source of inspiration for the people to be there. But in an organization like this, where you have a group of people and different stakeholders, then governance become the key. And what do I mean by the governance here? I'm looking at the board, the people who leave whatever they're doing to steer this company in terms of the policy, in terms of the strategy, in terms of the vision. So this, for me, was the key thing to do. And that's the reason why I became part and parcel of the board. Now, another thing is that when the governance is there, the governance should not interfere with the day-to-day management of the organization. Because what they do is to create policies, vision, and the strategy. Then leave this strategy to an executive, which is actually capable of implementing these strategies and follow the vision where the policy makers have done. Now, if this is done, then the board must also give guidance to the management in terms of capacity building. You must allow the managers to grow in terms of their own academics, in terms of their own professionalism, and allow them to become innovative in the work they are doing. In that case, the company will grow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you brought up the issue of innovation, not issue, but the aspect of innovation. So how is GS1 leveraging technology to enhance traceability?
That's a good question. For you to understand this, I think then we have to go back 50 years or 50 plus years to understand why that this question of innovation becomes a key aspect of GS1. The barcodes as itself began in 1974 when the first barcode was scanned.
Yes.
And the reason was most retailers by then were using tags, price tags. Oh. And price tag basically brought two issues. One is in the era of human, where a 6 can become 9 and a 3 can become E. Yeah. Another thing was also what in GS1 we refer to as sweetheartening. Sweetheartening means I'll tell my girlfriend, sorry, not now, or I will ask, people are my friends, people are close to me. Yes. You come to the shop, make sure you pick this product, I will sell it to you at this price. Yeah. And the difference, let's see how best we can share that, if it is a profit. So if you're selling a product of 100 shillings, at 10 shillings, there's 90 shillings saving. So that 90 shillings saving, we can say, give me 45, you take 45. That is called sweetheartening, or sweetheartening. Now, this allowed retailers to manage their stocks easily, available, and knowing how the stocks are being managed or being sold. Yes. But with the time, this is becoming obsolete. Why? Because the world has become a small village. And I usually say as a young man, I used to do a lot of window shopping by walking on through the windows. Today, my daughters, my sons, young people, they do online shopping. Yes, and this is not something which was seen 50 years ago. So for GS1 to sustain itself and remain relevant, they must take this into account. How are we going to be part and parcel of this new technology, and what do we do, or how do we use the standards we already have to implement into this new emerging trends? And this is why the traceability comes play, because we know we have the mechanism of doing it. And therefore, when you put in the new trends, we succeed.
Okay, so since this is Traceability TV, can you give me and the viewers at home the recent innovations that GS1 Kenya has implemented on traceability?
I think we've done well since 2018. Yeah. And the first innovation we brought in place is what we call Thamani Online. Yes. And this basically was initiated by the suppliers or manufacturers, because around between 2015 to 2019, a lot of major supermarkets were closing down and suppliers were losing a lot. So the supplier asked us, this item we are putting on or rather the codes we are putting on our products, how best can it be used to track and trace our assets and products? Yes. And this is why we thought deeply and said, fine, is there a way we can actually not really bypass the retailers, but make the supplier and the consumer become the relevant in the supply chain? Because at the end of the day, me as a manufacturer, I want to serve the clients, and my clients are the consumers, not the retailer. The retailer basically are an open store or a distribution point. So this is the reason why we brought in this innovation, where the consumer can actually go directly to the supplier. But the most recent on the same line is what we call Hakikisha Bidhaa. This is a case where we feel not only the consumer can identify the products, more details of that products to the supplier, but they have a platform where they can directly link to the manufacturer. So you find the supplier can actually talk to the consumer on a real-time basis. So that is a way of, we feel we've innovated the way retail is going. Why? Because the youth of today, they shop online.
So what future trends in traceability do you see shaping the industry? You've mentioned online shopping, but apart from that, can you give us something new?
Let me not play the seer for that, but let me try and say this. The world is changing and changing very fast, as I said earlier, and it's becoming a small village. I can buy something from China, I can buy something from US, and within 24 hours, 36 hours, it will be here. I've not seen this product. I only saw it figuratively online. Something what we call a digital twin of the physical products. So when the product arrives, I want to see it as it is, the way they are showing it on the internet. Now, for this, I believe the future of the world will go whereby, and let me take another line, where I am somewhere in Guatemala, and I have people who have got interest of a particular product in Africa, and for this matter, maybe in Kenya, and the consumer for that product could be in Japan. So the farmer, if I may call it that way, in Guatemala don't have to come to Kenya, but he has farms in Kenya, and he will actually be farming in Kenya using the technology and the people in Kenya, but the product will not be consumed in Guatemala, neither will it be consumed in Kenya, but it will be consumed in Japan. So the three is a tripartite. And this, everybody is communicating and saying, okay, by this day, I think I'll get my products and they'll be coming from this place, but the person selling me this product is coming from this country. And yet there will be trust. And that actually is what GS1 is trying to do, to bring trust into the trade.
So we're going to delve into a bit of challenges. So what are the biggest challenges facing the traceability industry today?
The biggest challenge here is, I think, is buying in by...
Can you explain that?
Yes, I will explain it shortly, but buying in the way that the consumer try to believe that what they're seeing from this thing called traceability is good for them. As opposed to maybe they will see this as an added cost. The supplier on the other side also feel, now that there's nobody trying to police me about this traceability, I don't need to put it, because for me it will be like an added cost. Why? Because for this to work, there must be a policing, or there must be a regulator. In any system, there must be a regulator. And in our case, we believe the regulator should be a government authority. If I take, for example, trade, we could have the Trade Consumer Authority or Kenya Bureau of Standard. There must be a regulator in terms of how are you regulating this. If it is made in medical aspect, we'll have people like Pharmacy and Poison Board. If you have in agribusiness or in agriculture, we'll have people like KEFIS. So if these three institutions, government-owned institutions, buy into the need of having a traceability and how to control how traceability can be channeled, then I think that becomes easier. But as of now, it is something none of them feel as if it is necessary. So that's one challenge we're having, and we are not finding it as something we can leave alone, but to keep on pushing until they realize, yes, this is something good.
Okay, so to look onto the future of GS1, what are your top priorities for GS1 Kenya in the next 5 years?
First and foremost, it's for us to be sustainable. I say this because if you look at the way we've structured ourselves, or the way we are registered in this country, we are not for profit. So not for profit, generally most we look at it that our operation should not be geared in making huge profits.
Yeah.
We're not like other institutions where they say we have to make 40% for everything we do. Ours is to sustain business and to allow traders to work efficiently. Now, for us to be here, I said we must sustain this, and for that's why we're looking at how do we innovate to make sure that at least we remain relevant and we grow. And of course, we become more efficient in terms of what we issue.
Yeah.
GS1 has been known to give traceability services, but we're also looking at we are managing data. And nothing is going to happen in the future, especially what they call as AI, artificial intelligence, will work without having data. Not only data, but real data, which can be verified, which can be trusted. And this is where we are heading to. That our vision should have data which is trusted. Nobody should question the data we are giving out to them. And for this is what we feel will sustain us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is GS1 Kenya positioning itself to seize new opportunities in the market?
Like any other company, the key thing for you to remain relevant is to keep innovating.
Yes.
Is to keep innovating and is to keep understanding the trend, the new trends which is coming in. 30 years ago, 50 years ago, we didn't care. I'll go home, get the food and come and eat. But now I know not only growing that, but I can share it with somebody without our problem. For that reason, we must look at it that just like air is fluid, the trade should be fluid for it to grow. And that's where GS1 is standing itself. That you know what, we must keep on innovating, we must keep on having new challenges and going over them for us to remain relevant. The youth of today
Yes.
really wants something which is quite dynamic and something which will make them not to move a lot, but to feel at the call or of a push of a button, they have what they want.
They need, yeah.
But when you push a button and you see something very beautiful and or nice or lovely, but the moment you're brought to them, you find, oh, this is not what I really wanted. This is the reason why GS1 is coming in and saying, you know what, we must create what is called a digital twin of a physical product. So if I see this water is physical here, if I see it in any other platform, it is exactly, and I will not miss when it is brought to me.
Okay,
Yeah.
So not to take you back,
Yes.
but you mentioned something about authoring books. I've been keeping that in my mind, at the back of my mind. Can you please tell us about your books and which one you're the most proud of?
I met a professor relative of mine, and he's a literature professor. And I told him it's quite ironical because when I was young, literature was the least subject I wanted. In fact, I had a problem with my literature teacher because it was not something I thought I would do. But out of blues, I realized I've got interest in doing a lot of writing books. At some point I started a blogging, but I stopped because I felt there's too much for me to handle. But of now, I've got 2 books on the shelf. One of them is called Herding the Zebra. This is basically a story of, or a journey on how GS1 came to be. The intricacies of the politicals behind the scenes, what we did wrong, what we did right, and how the operation grown to be what it is. It is, I won't say it's hilarious, but I'll say it has a lot of interesting things of how somebody can start something from nowhere and go to be what it is. So that's how, or what inspired me to write this book called Herding the Zebra. The volume 2 of it is on the way, and I believe, God willing, in a short period of time, we should have the second volume of Herding the Zebra. My second book is actually based on my upbringing on spirituality. It's actually Robbing the God's Gift. And this is, I will say it's a very controversial book because those I've shared with them, some of them blast me. Why did you write this? Why did you not write that? But it's also inspired by the fact that the way religion has been brought to us is somehow that you do not need to question things which you do not understand. But see, the mind of a young person is inquisitive. And if they can't get answers, ready answers, then they'll try and explore. And I'm not left alone. I was also in that line. I explored a lot when I was growing up. And when the school I went to, I'm lucky or fortunate. It was a school mixed of so many. We had Indians, we had whites, you had the blacks, you had the Arabs. So it was quite an interesting outfit, and especially everybody talking about their religion. But I look back and I say, fine, why are we in this world? And if you try to ask those questions, you realize actually each and every person, including living things, plants and animals, we have 4 things basically to look at. And that's what I explore. And then I explore what are the benefits of everything you do. Because at the end of the day, nobody chose to be born. Nobody said, I want to be born. You find yourself there. And when you find yourself there, there are a few things you do not understand why they happen, or why do you get them, or why do you experience them when you do a few things. So the book is talking about that. It is quite an interesting book. I will recommend anybody to read it. I've read it more than 4 times since I published it. And every time I feel I want to laugh or want to argue with myself, I read it. So that's why it is. But I believe in the next 2-3 years, there will be 2 more books coming out.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to see that. But I'd like to ask you to give a piece of advice to any aspiring leader out there.
You know, when you were growing up, you were told that 3 or 4 types of leadership. That those who are born, you are born a leader. That those who are trained to be leaders. That those who just grab it. Some people say you cannot take power without grabbing it. But leadership, everybody is a leader. Everybody's, I believe, is born a leader. How to make yourself a leader is what differs. Yeah, and leadership calls for sacrifice. For me, anybody who can sacrifice what they want to do to inspire other people to be great, or somebody who can pick something, it doesn't matter whether it's a company or not, even in sports, even in meetings you have, and you are there to contribute without fearing what people are going to say. But you remain faithful to what you are saying, you remain true to the people, and remain true to the cause of what you want to do. 2, a leader must have a vision of what he or she wants to achieve and where he wants to take the people he's leading. A leader must also be able to at least pen down a few things. Yeah, that this happened some years back, but I want to do something different. So you become inquisitive, or you not really judge, but you interrogate each and everything you see for the benefit of people, because it cannot be benefit for yourself. Then you're not a leader, because who will you be leading? You must lead a group of people, but you must try and take them. And the best leader is the one who listens, not the one he wants people to listen to him. You listen and maybe speak last after everybody has said what they want to say. Then you actually say, okay, this is good for the community, or this is good for us. And I think that will be for me, what kind of a leadership you want to be. Take risks, but calculated risk. Because there's no point of being a leader and you don't want to jump the boat. I mean, to go into the deep end. If you want people to go to the deep end, be the first one and show them what be done. Read when you have an opportunity. I think a good leader should also try and read different aspects of life, not only on one area you want. It must be in almost everything, from sports to religion to geopolitics, to anything you feel might be of interest to you. Why? That expands your knowledge and to understand where things happen here and there. You must be not so quick to judge. There are always 2 sides of a story. That might not be my strength, but I believe that's one of the key pillars of a leader, that don't be quick to judge. And 2, be patient and understand at your age group. So if you're a leader in your 20s, then of course you understand that there will be people less than younger than you. If you're a leader in the 60s, like I am, or the 70s, then you understand that you have even a big gap. You have people in the 50s, in the 40s, 30s, and even now another group altogether you might not know. So you might be forced to go back and read about this group and see how best you can actually take them through. Okay. Yeah.
Give us a parting shot, say goodbye to the people at home, and tell them to subscribe to Traceability TV.
Thank you, Marianne, for that. This would be my parting shot. Anybody who wants to go into trade, or anybody who wants to understand their business well. There's this aspect which we are selling like traceability. So what is it? Why are we pushing for this traceability? The world as it is made of at least gathering of information everybody has acquired or which is happening. And this, coupled with the fact that now the world has become one village, and of course there are geopolitics playing a key role into this, it would be very interesting for somebody to seek out. And for me, I looked at this point of view. If you are going into trade, do not limit yourself with just within your surrounding. Look out at a bigger sea. The best market for you will be outside this country. You can start with this country, you can go to the region, but try to imagine that you can actually sell this thing to the Far East, like the Japan, the northernmost, like the Scandinavians, and the Far West, like the US. All these people need something which we have. And this is where you should look at. If you're going to make roast groundnuts, please do not just roast groundnuts for us here in Nairobi. Try to imagine you can roast these groundnuts for somebody in China. And to do this, you need to have a way of convincing the market out there what this thing is authentic, it's real, and you can actually track where it has come from. And this is where you'll find our standards come into play. And this is why I say anybody, and especially farmers, if I leave the manufacturing, because our manufacturing skill, though so good or well structured in Africa, but we are still far behind the so-called newly industrialized countries. But agriculture, I think for me, this is the biggest opportunity we have. And Kenyan farmers, regardless of where you are, farm knowing that you want to take this product outside our country. And that's where money is. That's where money is. And to do this, please come to us, to GS1. We'll definitely give you the standards on how to do it through tracking and tracing. Marianne, thank you very much for this opportunity to explain to our viewers what we do, and I think it's quite interesting. For our viewers, I will definitely encourage you to get more information. Please get in touch with us. We like to hear from you. We like also to publish you out there through using this platform, GS1 Traceability TV. And this is what we're asking you to do. Be part and parcel of Traceability TV.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap on today's episode. We've had an enlightening conversation with the CEO of GS1 Kenya, Mr. Peter Otieno, and he shared some incredible insights on traceability. And honestly, I hope you found this conversation as inspiring and informative as I did. Until we meet again, I'm your host, Miriam Munyoki. Remember, we trace it, you trust it.
Traceability TV. We trace it, you trust it.